Hi, Mary. Thanks for joining me today. To start, do you want to just introduce yourself?
Yeah, nice. Thanks, Kieran. I'm Mary. I am the CEO and one of the co-founders at InScope. At InScope, we're automating financial reporting, and what that really translates to is for public companies, it's 10Ks, 10Qs, and for private companies, it's the annual reports that we're working to automate.
Awesome. And how long have you been working on this company?
We've been at it for about 7 months. So all three of us founders, Kelsey, Avi, and myself, we jumped into it full-time in early July of last year.
Nice. And I reached out because I saw you were in the first cohort of the Mint, which I think started in August 2023. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah. So we joined the Mint about a month into us starting InScope.
Cool. And why did you apply to the Mint? I guess what stood out about that program?
Yeah, so I first came across the Mint on TechCrunch, and there were a few factors that compelled us to apply to and join the Mint. One was Sheil and Jake had a great reputation from running 500 fintech. So I'd heard about them from my network. And for us, the timing was perfect. We were 1 month into it. All three of us were first-time founders. So we thought we could really benefit from, a structured program as we started out our journey. And then, yeah, it's the fintech focus as well. So we are very much fintech, and we wanted an accelerator program, investors who could really guide us through the fintech world.
Yeah. And then I saw on the website just their written application, but I was wondering if you can maybe give an overview of the other steps of their application process, what happens after you submit that written application.
Yeah, once we submitted the written application, it was an interview with Sheil and JC. Sheil is one of the GPs, and JC is an investor at TV. And it was an unstructured, quick, I think it was 30, 45 minutes interview with them. And I don't know if it still runs the same way, but we found out either the end of the same day or the next day that they wanted us to join the program.
Awesome. And what were maybe some of the questions they asked you, or what were they interested in about your company?
So since we were pretty new, so we entered the program pre-product, pre-revenue. We did not have any customers. It was very much, they were interested in us as founders and our background. And so both Avi, Kelsey, and I, all of us had worked at companies that Sheil had invested in, angel invested in, or in some form he knew the companies that we had worked at. And so there was a deep network there for him to reference check us. And so it was really about the founders and not about necessarily the product or the business.
Yeah. And I saw on their website, so the Mint is a 3-month program. It includes an annual retreat, curriculum, coaching, and just a tight community of other fintech founders. Can you just describe more about what actually happens during the program?
Yeah, so it was a 10-week program for us. It kicked off at the beginning of August, and it was structured into sections or weeks where there was a product-focused week, a design-focused week, legal, HR. So there's different parts of the program, different focus throughout the program. And then it really, towards the tail end of the program, we're spending a lot of time working towards our demo day. And so this is where we spend a lot of time trying to tell our story in just 2 minutes, in just 3 minutes. And it sounds silly, but it's one of the most valuable skills for the founder to have, to be able to tell the entire story in 2 minutes. Mm-hmm. And there is the annual retreat, the Camp BTV, that we attended soon after the program demo day was done. Besides that, we did, the network was amazing. We did meet a lot of advisors, a lot of folks who are now our investors and strategic investors in our business through the program.
Awesome. And was this an in-person program the entire time through San Francisco? Every team was in San Francisco, or was people just there for the annual retreat and then some teams went remote? How was it?
It was an in-person program. The entire cohort was in person. I mean, there were a couple of folks with personal, commitments that could not be in person the entire time, but yeah, for the most part, it was in person.
Gotcha. And reflecting on your own experience, what do you think was like the most valuable aspect of the program for your team?
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to, us being first-time founders. There was just so many choices and decisions to be made at the very beginning, and having access to Sheil and Jay just sitting next to us and giving us advice throughout was really incredibly helpful. And I'll give you an example. When we send out these notes for like, hey, can you introduce me to this potential customer? You send this like blurb, right? Like this customer intro blurb. And I remember like drafting one and sending it to Sheil, and he just like walks over to my desk and he's like, let's workshop your intro. And like, he sat like with me, and like we worked on this Google Doc together to workshop it. So it's just very hands-on, very much like just casual, and just like, yeah, super helpful.
Yeah. And then kind of curious, because you joined 1 month into starting your company, where were like the other companies in the batch? Like, did some of them have customers already? Did some of them have products, or was everyone just like very early?
No, I think it was all over the place. There was one company that essentially had product market fit, like hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue, and several users. So we were quite like, there was quite a spectrum. Like I would say we were on like the youngest or like earliest stages, versus like there were companies 2-3 years in, and really made a lot of progress.
Gotcha. And then I saw on their website they invest $500K for 10%. Are there any other like investment rights or things to be aware of regarding their accelerator deal?
No, it's a fairly standard deal, and it's actually clean because there's no separate like sort of like I think Sheil talks about this in like the TechCrunch article. There's like the YC structure that's slightly different. This is very much like a straight like 500K for 10%.
Gotcha. And then was kind of curious to hear more about the demo day. So I know they host a live demo day at the end of the program, as you mentioned. Can you just talk more about how that's structured, who's there, what teams are doing? Yeah, we'd love to hear more.
Yeah, so this year, the demo day was structured as like an extension, or like together with the BTV LP day. And there were about 200 investors I believe around 200 investors present there at demo day. And, we were 8 companies who had 2 minutes each to 2 to 3 minutes each to pitch our stories. And yeah, it was an incredible experience. Like the weeks leading up to it, the practice pitches, and just like getting there to the final day where it went incredibly well. And for us, it worked out really well because we met our seed investor. Our seed investor was in the audience. That's how we got our seed, investment as well.
Yeah, that's exciting to hear. And the last couple questions are just advice related for other founders who maybe are considering this program. Kind of curious, like what advice would you give to someone who's applying to the Mint and trying to get in? Like what should they do to prepare for the interview and the admission process?
To prepare for the interview process, really like having a deep understanding of your business and like having domain expertise is really helpful. And then just be yourself. I mean, if there should be a mutual fit between the program and the company. So I would say, besides knowing your business in and out, just be yourself.
Cool. And for a founder who gets into the program and wants to like make the most out of their time in the Mint, like what advice would you share with them?
Yeah. So the one thing that I would recommend all of the folks who get in is just spend more time with your cohort. It is an intense 10-week, but don't forget to look up and look around and connect with your fellow, folks in the program. This is where you get some of the most value, just learning from and spending time with each other.
Cool. And last question, is there anything I didn't ask about that you think is important to know for a founder considering the Mint?
Yeah, so one of the things that a lot of folks like worry about the accelerator is this whole like, I'm giving up X% of my company, the dilution. My advice on that is these outcomes are binary, so increasing the odds of success by joining a program like the Mint far outweighs like the dilution effect that you take. So really just remember that these outcomes are binary.
Awesome. Great way to finish. Thank you so much, Mary, for joining me today.
Of course. Thanks.